Bam, bam, bam. It is Tinfoil Hat Thursday. What is up? And welcome back, everyone. We are here. We are live and we are kicking it. It is the Tinfoil Hat Thursday. I hope we're doing nice. Again, we are rocking with this webcam, the continuity camera for the phone. Not working so well. It is time to go from the iPhone 10 to the new iPhone, probably a little 14 or 13 action. But until then, we're rocking with this webcam. Shout out the roommate for letting me use this, and we're good to rock and roll. But hopefully the quality is coming out nice. Hopefully my sound is coming out nice and pretty because we've got a lot to talk about today. I've been putting it off for a while, but it is finally time to talk the quarterback situation of the Miami Dolphins. Bang, bang, bang. As you can see here, Tom Brady has retired. Lamar Jackson has been franchise tagged, and Tua Tagovailoa has been cleared of the concussion protocol. There is a lot of news a churning today, and it is going to be a fun time indeed. So strap in, grab your tinfoil hats, and rock and roll with me. Before we truly dive into the quarterback rabbit hole, everybody, thank you for tuning in. We do have to discuss the fact that Vic Fangio has officially, we have gotten more concrete news. According to Adam Schefter, Fangio is reported to be signing with the Miami Dolphins, has agreed, and as soon as the Super Bowl ends, as soon as he's done with that job with the Eagles, bada bing, bada bang, he is set to be the new defensive coordinator for the Dolphins. That is about the highest trusting person I can, Adam Schefter. That man tried, tested, true. His sources are ironclad. And if Shefty says we're going for it, puts my heart at ease, we can finally start addressing other talks. I'd already scheduled the quarterback talk for today, regardless of the Fangio situation, but knowing that the Dolphins have, for all intents and purposes, grabbed the defensive coordinator, unofficially official, as official I can get besides pen to paper, Adam Schefter reporting on it. We are good to go, guys. We have talked about it. We have beaten it to death. We all know what Fangio coming to the Dolphins means, the implications, whether it's, how Sean McVay and Wade Phillips paired up to go for a Super Bowl run, McDaniel and Fangio can be that with a young offensive mind pairing up with a veteran defensive head who knows his way around the league. Bada bing, bada bang. We are looking very pretty on the defensive and the coaching side in general of the Miami Dolphins' future. If we get Fangio, as all reports are finally saying, we should be locked in to get it and going. Wow, I'm on the wrong side of the tinfoil hat. But anyways, hope we're all doing fine and dandy. Hope we're all getting the tinfoil hats already. Now that we have finally gotten Vic Fangio, now that the speculation has ended there, we can finally know that the Dolphins are going to be totally revamping this defense, totally figuring it out, and getting nice and pretty, nice and gritty with it. A bit of a revamp, hopefully, a little re-energizing, reorganizing, but it's time to talk about quarterback, okay? That the moment we've all been waiting for. No more Fangio talk. I'll have put a timestamp to get into here. I'll have set up a little chapter. Thanks for tuning in. Get the tinfoil hat ready and let's talk. Yesterday, we saw Tom Brady come out to a beach. Theory seems to be proven that it is Miami Beach. In fact, he comes out in the video and, well, I probably should have had it ready and rocking to go, but I'm going to go check for it right now real quick. The basic gist of it is that Tom Brady basically is a little emotional, says he's thought about it, and, you get your one talk, your one emotional paragraph, and he already used it last year in his retirement. Is it time for him to move on? Of course, and here's the video. Really butcher the guy's words, but let's get it going. Oop, I should have probably shared my screen first. Yeah, smart Nando. Tom Brady is retired though, guys. That the tinfoil hat's on, but I think it's an official retirement. What does it mean for the Dolphins though? We are going to see in a second. Dun, 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 sharing the screen, Mr. Brady, so we can go over his exact words.
I'll get to the point right away. I'm retiring for good. I know the process was a pretty big deal last time, so when I woke up this morning, I figured I'd just press record and let you guys know first. So I won't be long-winded. You only get one super emotional retirement essay, and I used mine up last year. So really thank you guys so much, to every single one of you, for supporting me, my family, friends, my teammates, my competitors. I could go on forever. There's too many. Thank you guys for allowing me to live my absolute dream. I wouldn't change a thing. Love you all. Good morning, guys. I'll get to the point right away. I'm retiring.
I replayed the little beginning of that. First of all, James Santos, shout out. You were a freaking legend. Liking it is always free, always appreciated. You are a beast. Please definitely like. It's always appreciated. And it's free. I don't have 1,000 subscribers yet. The road to there is a coming. Thank you, Adam E, by the way, for coming in bright and early. We are almost there. Thank you for that little call out before the show. But 100%, man. If you guys just missed that part and you can go back and re-listen to what Tom Brady was saying, the reason I replayed the beginning is because that's the most important. He says, I'll get right to the point. I am retiring. Okay. None of this ambiguity. Tom Brady had already voiced his frustrations on his own podcast, throwing out a little bit of curse words, saying when he decides, he'll decide. When he knows, he'll know. And he finally did. He finally announced his retirement. It ends the speculation of whether he's actually coming to the Dolphins. We had seen Brady touring Miami Country Day, whether he was going to come here or not. I did believe if we were going to move on from Tua, that Tom Brady was the best option as a free agent. It costed nothing except money. We didn't have to mortgage our future, and that is over. That dream is gone, okay? Anyone still piping and crowding for Tom Brady, you're going to need a tinfoil hat even crazier than mine if you think Tom Brady is going to come out of retirement for a second time and come to the Dolphins. Yes, was he in Miami? Sure. Are his kids probably going to go to school here? Yeah, Giselle's living in Miami, okay? Tom Brady, most likely it was Dolphins or bust. There was talks of him going to the Patriots, returning to the Buccaneers, going to the Raiders, going to San Fran. All those moves moved him away from his kids. And while we have seen athletes in the past focus on their careers more than their children at a time where he's just gotten a very public divorce, at a time where there's all these questions, I think Tom Brady hung it up, said it's bada bing, bada bang, time to call it a season, time to call it a career, and what a career it has been. I hate Brady, but you got to respect him at the same time. I'm actually 5-0 against Tom Brady. I've never seen that loser win in person. He always chokes when I'm in the stadium because he has an 8-10 record in Miami. So I don't think he would have been the best quarterback for Miami. Come on. Maybe he would have been able to improve his little road record. Actually, it wouldn't even make sense. No, that 8-10 record would just stay forever against Tom Brady. But it would have been very weird to see him in the Dolphins uniform, and I'm glad we don't have to discuss those semantics. It is over. He is done. We can move to other QB conversations, but he's over. Hey, Adam, I like that, and I'll entertain that. But Brady to Miami for QB coach consultant. Hey, whether I know that's a little bit of a dig, but Tom Brady as a coach, he does have a contract to hit the booth. It's a big money deal. Guys like Greg Olson were already complaining about like, oh, is Tom Brady really going to come and push me out of my job in broadcasting? Like, he might well, Greg, third leg, but Tom Brady, the coach, could be beyond interesting. His kids do play football. There could be a little interest in Tom training Jack a little bit more intensely and saying, you know what, this will be my furthering of my legacy, putting in my offspring, putting in my children to carry the torch of the Brady name. Whether they'll have that hunger, that drive that a Tom Brady, scorned Brady had, we won't know. But the talent could still be there. Whether it's a coach, though, I think that Brady will one day obviously hit coaching. I think he'd be a phenomenal quarterbacks coach. His offensive mind in general would be just so nice to see. The way he reads defenses would be insane. I think that if I was following head coach between Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, I've always said I think players would go more for Peyton Manning's style. This is when Peyton retired, though. Now, with all the rings, all the success that Tom Brady has continued to add, as lovable and as funny and as charming as Peyton Manning would be, Coach Tom Brady would be an electrifying presence, a man who demands results and for all intents and purposes would get it. You'd have to assume that he learned a lot from Bill Belichick as well. Tom Brady, the coach, could be better than Tom Brady, the player, and that says a lot, okay? it would truly cement him as one of the greatest sports people of all time. I don't know how to say it because it's not just being an athlete. If he retires as the greatest quarterback and one of the greatest football players of all time, goes on to be an awesome broadcaster, and then comes into coaching and is a Hall of Fame level coach, Tom Brady would just tip of the cap to you, good sir. Tip of the tinfoil cap to you. You are an impressive specimen, man. In all seriousness, no, him as an OC would be very interesting to see, 100%. Whether he could slide in now, honestly, I would trust Tom Brady to take the reins of my team if they need an offensive coordinator like that. Like if Josh McDaniels said, Tom, I know you don't want to play, but can you please just be offensive coordinator? Can you at least be an offensive consultant and help me out a little bit? Come teach these jabronis a little bit more football down here in Las Vegas. I'm sure Tom would not mind occasionally flying to Las Vegas between that and his booth job. But hey, Ian Baller, thank you for tuning in, man. I always knew Fangio was coming. These negative Nancy's saying we're not getting him, same old Dolphins. I love that, man. Negative Nancy's is one of my favorite sayings, man. It's like probably one of the harshest I'll go. And it just really does convey the message as well. Agreed. Whether you had sources or not, whether you could have connected the dots, whether you were the big names, whether it was the people starting to backpedal and start acting like scorned lovers, Fangio's coming. And Fangio's here to rock, man. And it makes me so happy because we can finally start talking about more free agency moves, how we're going to fill these holes at running back. We have none under contract. We needed a little help in middle linebacker, some help at offensive line, whether it's depth or some right tackle action, maybe some more secondary depth, and backup quarterback and free agency, baby. Cruz Ruiz, thank you for popping in right now. Always awesome to see some familiar faces and new ones, of course, man. Exactly, Ian Baller. Look at the staff McDaniel has built and is continuing to build. That's one of the coolest things about Vic Fangio coming in here is that as a veteran, as a man with connections, he will be filling out his staff. We brought McDaniel in and he used his offensive mind to bring in guys like Frank Smith, John Embry, Matt Applebaum did get fired, but at the same time, I'm confident whoever McDaniel is going to bring in because of his offensive connections, stuff like that. On defense, Fangio has those connections. That's where he's built his side of the game, his experience. He's cultivated so much knowledge there, and I'm excited to see who decides to bring in. If he brings in Sean Desai or Chris Richards, just got by the Saints, stuff like that is awesome moves that I do trust Fangio to do. Chris Richards would mean maybe Sam Madison not being with the Dolphins or coming in a reduced role, but good coaches are good coaches, man. And I trust Fangio to make his moves, just like I trust McDaniel to make his moves. Adam Sadowski, been a while, man. Thank you for tuning in, bro. How are we doing? How are we living? It is Tinfoil Hat Thursday. Slap on a tinfoil hat and dive down the rabbit hole with me as I just speculate, and go down these little theories of mine on this nice Thursday. Fangio, I do think, we do have some linebacking coaches. I think it's outside linebacker, an assistant linebacker, and a safeties position available. There could be, maybe we bring in some heads that Fangio wants to fill out there and hopefully finish this defensive coaching scheme in time so that for agency and draft, we can just pick and snipe and completely unlock the last final pieces, guys. The puzzle of the Miami Dolphins is doing very, very well. It's a 1,000-piece puzzle, 10,000-piece puzzle, whatever you want to call it. We've got the borders. We are filling in to the middle very shortly. Once we get that final puzzle piece locked, the big picture is going to be freaking gorgeous, man. And that's why now we're getting the big coaching stuff out of the way. Super Bowl hasn't even hit yet, and hopefully we'll have our defensive coordinator. Hopefully the boys will be scheming up some nice players to get to. And we can finally talk about other positions, which is why we've been talking about quarterback today. Brady retired. He's gone. And while it'd be fantastically phenomenal to one day see him as a coach somewhere, as much as I hate Brady the player, I'm very intrigued as a sports fan to see what Brady could do, not only in the booth, but on the field. Hopefully him and Manning do hit coaching sooner rather than later. And I can continue to see these legends who I grew up with continue to be involved in football. It'd be nothing brighter, man. Ooh, baby. Sean Desai coming here as a Fangio assistant. That's the type of moves I'm talking about. Those bright defensive minds that Fangio can add. Desai as our DC would have been cool. has him as an assistant to keep training under Fangio and then one day take over the reins once Fangio goes for a head coaching job. That's what I want to see. Please. But QB, guys. When you're talking free agency with Tom Brady out of the picture, we are not bringing in a starting quarterback through free agency. We might trade for one. I don't want to because of the implications. It would mean the amount of draft picks that we don't really have. So we'd have to start mortgaging even further down the line, even further future first rounders. Maybe losing players like Wilkins, Waddle of that caliber, or just random good players like Zach Sealer, who isn't a superstar, but we know how good of a piece he is to this Dolphins team. Free agency, the best quarterback available hitting the free agency market might be Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know if he truly is an upgrade over Tua. So if we're talking free agency, we're looking at backup quarterback. And we're going to explore the trade speculation of Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers in a second. But if we're strictly talking free agency, one, we still need a backup quarterback. We're probably going to field 3 quarterbacks because look at what the Niners did. If Shanahan taught anything to McDaniel, it's probably, hey, get your quarterbacks well prepared. Like I said in the past, 14 out of 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL have also gotten hurt, a ridiculous amount. It is not to say that like quarterback can't go throughout the season without being fully healthy, or at least wait till the offseason to get surgery. You've got to commend guys like Justin Herbert who waited till the end to get his non-throwing shoulder surgery or whatever. I'm kidding because it's stupid. But there are players who played through injuries and banged up. There are some who don't. You know, Sam Madison said as much when he was talking about Byron Jones. Some guys can play through injuries, some can't. But 14 out of 32 starting quarterbacks got hurt this year, guys. That is no joke. That is something that we still have to prepare for. And I think Skylar Thompson has shown some nice signs. I still think he deserves time to develop. And if we are saying Super Bowl or bust, I'm not sure if Skylar Thompson can win a Super Bowl next year. So getting a competent backup, someone who can go in without a hitch, be hungry and motivated, yes, that's someone who I want to back up. And if we're talking specifically those guys, that means I'd want someone with some moxie, someone like a Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew is probably my preferred choice, or Taylor Heineke. But of that build, guys who are young-ish, still looking for future in the NFL, between that starter or backup range where they can be very competent backups with upside to spot starters, and provide some energy of life, so a nice little bit of injection. Moxie, man. The quarterback list that was injured last year, and I talked about it yesterday a bit: Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Ryan Tannehill, Matt Ryan, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Trey Lance / Jimmy G, Matt Stafford, Kyler Murray, Justin Fields, Marcus Mariota. Okay. Kenny Pickett also had some concussions. Mitch Trubisky was the original starter, so I didn't know how to quantify that. But let's say 14 out of 32 starting quarterbacks, not to mention the other backups that I had to get hurt, not to mention this whole carousel of injuries that seem to happen around the NFL. People get hurt. Quarterbacks go down, whether they're older, younger, same age as Tua. Tua does have injury concerns, but so does, you could say, a lot of players in the NFL do, okay? You could say Tua's one hit away from going down. Every player in the NFL is one bad hit away from going down, okay? Freak accidents happen, scary situations happen, and we have to prepare for all eventualities. All situations must be covered if we want to win the Super Bowl. Next man up mentality is always needed. So if we're going for a backup, get those moxie guys that hopefully aren't going to cost us more than $7 million, that we don't have to input all these resources. If you want to get a top premier backup, go for a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, who has an insane winning record, who already showed last year that when San Fran restructured his contract and they said, hey, you're going to need to take a year, we'll give you $10 million, go on the bench, restructure for us. Worst case, you're a free agent next year. Best case, you have to come in because of injuries and you can increase your value. Jimmy G did play. He did get hurt again, but when he played, he showed that he can be a very capable quarterback. And in the Miami Dolphins, a guy, Jimmy G, who already has familiarity with Mike McDaniel, who has shown he can win games, who has been to the big moments, and is a veteran, and has shown he's willing to sit on the bench if need be. If we stick with Tua and Skylar Thompson as our 2 quarterbacks, I'd love to bring Jimmy Garoppolo even though that's probably the highest paid option, honestly. But if we're committing this money, if we're going down this rabbit hole where we pick up the Tua fifth-year option or we don't, but we're rocking with Tua this year, we need to have, I think, the best capable backup. And it sounds stupid, I know, to talk about backup quarterback. It's not a position that every fan base is talking about, but it is still a position that is vitally important. Okay, if quarterback is the most important, why? Sorry, Imbal, I don't know why I started your comment up. My bad, but if quarterback is still the number one position in all sports, the most important position, the one that holds the most weight, then backup quarterback is a position that holds a ton of importance as well. It is not a position that you want to use. It is not a thing that you want to be using. But every building should have a fire extinguisher, okay? Break glass in case of emergencies. You need it, okay? And Jimmy Garoppolo would be one big expensive fire extinguisher, but any fire that comes about from a quarterback injury, immediately doused if you have Jimmy Garoppolo. With Baker Mayfield, Taylor Heineke, Gardner Minshew, that ilk of young quarterbacks with moxie going for their second contract, yes, there is a little bit of nice time to be talking about, hey, they could give us some new life. They can cover us for a bit. There's also that worry that they fall flat on their face or they try to do too much and it doesn't work out for them. There's a considerable more amount of risk. So it goes down to what you want. If we can afford it, if we can figure it out, if McDaniel can sweet talk Jimmy G and say, hey, buddy, I'll put you in a good situation. We'll fix you up. I'd love nothing more. And hey, in an ideal world, maybe you even say Skyler's QB2, Jimmy G is QB3. Okay, he is break glass in case of emergencies. I'd still be fine with that. It is not my money. What Stephen Ross wants to do is up to him. But if we're talking about free agent quarterbacks, those are our best options. Jimmy G, okay. Freaking Jacoby Brissett, Baker Mayfield. I don't think Jacoby's coming back to Miami. So it'd be really our best options are Jimmy G, Baker Mayfield, Taylor Heineke, Gardner Minshew, hopefully. There are guys out there like Geno Smiths of the world, Jacoby Brissett, bringing back Teddy Bridgewater. None of those names truly inspire me. Geno Smith has had a phenomenal resurgence recently, but I don't think he'd come here to be a backup. The reason I like Gardner a lot, though, and it's because he's right in that sweet spot. Same with Baker. We're right in that sweet spot where they're talented enough to be able to push Tua. And hey, I'm down for some competition, brings out the best in everyone. And however that shakes out, shakes out. But they're also knowing that they're competing to be the QB2 spot and prove to the Dolphins that they would be worth keeping around on the roster, which means they'd be pushing Skylar Thompson as well. And I love to see that. Like I said, competition brings out the best in everyone. So rock and roll on that end. I'm trying to fix this light over here. Yeah, there we go. How are we doing, everybody, so far, though? Thank you for tuning in. We've got a long way to go on this Tinfoil Hat Thursday, man. Minshew, be that dude if needed for sure. Cat for life, thank you for tuning in, man. Always a pleasure, bro. But I agree. Minshew, that dude for us if needed for sure. Like, I love that. And he's the definition, I think, of a moxie. That guy, there's talks of him being the next Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I could see that, man. A guy who can enamor a team, give you that allure of he could start for us, he could fill in. He's a guy who will always be a good person to have in a locker room, a good leader, great presence. And if Fitzpatrick was the beard, Minshew Mania is the mustachioed wonder with the mullet to pair. What is not to like? And I would love a Gardner Minshew jersey, honestly. It'd be so freaking funny to have and dress like that for Halloween. So come on, Minshew, give me that little bit of mania. But I agree here. Adam E., a great point. And we are going to talk about draft before we talk about trade. Because, again, if we're trading away players, creating more holes, which means we're going to have to address more in free agency. We're probably trading draft capital as well, which means less players in the draft, less players to fill up holes for cheap. It's a whole mess that I don't know how worth it is for guys like Lamar or Rodgers, and we'll discuss that. But Adam, my buddy Nathan and I, shout out Nate. We did move to our new seats. Section 138, Bow. It's going to be a fun time indeed. This is going to be the new view for the seats. But Stetson Bennet. Adam, I love this question. Draft maybe the mailman Stetson Bennet. Going to be a mid-round quarterback. Got the swag. Knows how to win. Not the most polished, but what you think about that? I think Stetson Bennet is actually a very well-formed athlete. A man who has gone through trials and tribulations, who has gone from walk-on to going to win 2 national championships for Georgia. An absolute monster, the definition of a winner. Okay, not your prototypical quarterback, not the biggest build, and probably not a true franchise quarterback by any stretch of the means, man. But I like the fact that this kid has a poise and a presence that would be unparalleled for a rookie, being in those big stages, having all the doubt tossed at him. I think as a backup quarterback, Stetson Bennett would be phenomenal. Now, it just depends on what range we could get in him. If we can get him in the 3rd, 4th round, I'd love that. Seems a bit high, but at the same time, I think it'd be the cheapest backup who also has some very high upside. There is nothing to say that Stetson Bennett can't just continue winning, can't just keep figuring it out how to use talented players into the best of their abilities. So what he's done at Georgia, and if we're comparing the Dolphins to being like that Bama-ass team that has all the talent on offense, any quarterback can succeed here, and Georgia is supposed to be the new Bama, then why can't Stetson Bennett continue here in the NFL, continue saying, hey, I've got 5-star weapons in Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, I've got loads of talent oozing, I've got beautiful minds, beautiful schemes. Why can't Stetson continue to succeed? I actually really like this point, man. And I think that's, again, another player who could push Tua, someone who, competition brings out the best in us. Pressure is how you make diamonds. And I think this would be a nice move to show Tua, hey, we're not bringing in this 6'6" Adonis QB who's completely different from you. We're bringing an undersized, gritty dude like you, but a little bit of a different mold. A guy who has come from the ground up, okay, who has built him up, who is hungry. And this is not a Georgia pun, but he's literally a dog, okay? And the hungry dog runs fastest. So Stetson Bennett could be nice. My buddy Nathan, the reason I said shout out to him is because we had been talking about this in the morning, and he had talked to me about Hendon Hooker, the University of Tennessee quarterback. Nate, I started recording, so I didn't reply to you. I know he was injured when he went to the Orange Bowl, but similar deal of he worked that offense to the best of its capabilities. Hendon Hooker, they've got Bazooka Joe down in Tennessee now, but Hooker could be a nice, interesting option for the Dolphins. He is coming off of an injury, so there could be that of, we're drafting another quarterback with injury concerns, yada, yada, yada. He'd be the 3rd quarterback in the row, by the way, because Tua, Skylar Thompson also had a ton of injuries in college, and now Hooker. But Hooker's talent cannot be denied. He is an electrifying man and someone who was in talks for Heisman consideration this year. Hooker could be a very tantalizing option. The difference there is that'd be more of a 2nd round pick, and I don't know if I'm trying to go cough up a 2nd rounder for what could essentially be a backup quarterback. But I do think the draft could probably pose the best and cheapest options for the Miami Dolphins to roll around with. We will be doing a full draft breakdown and sort of chopping it up with more quarterback talk. Obviously, the Dolphins are not getting a CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis type player, Anthony Richardson, but Stetson Bennett, or maybe swinging as big as Hendon Hooker. I'm probably butchering that name, but Bennett or Hooker could be a nice little intriguing option for the Miami Dolphins to target in the draft. And things shake up. Like if Stetson Bennett is there towards the end of the 3rd round and we pass on him, that'll be very interesting. It'll be another show that the Dolphins are truly committed to Tua, for better or worse. He was projected 4th, but with the arrest, maybe teams let him slide a little more. I don't blame him. I would have been on a year bender after winning back-to-back natties and graduating. Oh, yeah, Stetson Bennett had a little bit of an arrest. Adam, I'm not too sure on the details. I think it was like a DUI or a drunken disorderly, something with alcohol. I remember that. He's like a 25-year-old man, 26-year-old man. He should be allowed to get a little drunk in public after winning 2 national championships, after going through everything he's faced from walking on to go to Georgia, leaving, coming back, winning 2 natties, public intoxication. As the arrests go, I'm not too concerned about that. Like I said, he's a 26-year-old man. Okay, he's that's the first issue he had, and after winning 2 national championships, I'll take it. You know, Stetson Bennett, go Dogs, huh? I'd be down for that. I'd be down to see that over here in Miami and how that rolls out. At the worst case, even if Stetson Bennett never becomes a starting quarterback. If Tua, God forbid, worst case does go down with an injury, I'd be very confident Stetson Bennett stepping in and bada bing, bada bam, winning some games, because that's what he's done most of his career, almost his entire life. College means nothing to the NFL, but who knows? Stetson Bennett, there's always that intangible, the allure of a rookie. And if people were getting hype over Skylar Thompson this year, I think the hype and allure of a Stetson Bennett, the winner like that, could be very interesting indeed. But what do you guys think? Would you guys be down to spend like a 3rd round, 4th round pick on Stetson Bennett? You're right, Adam, after the arrest, maybe he slides down to 4th, 5th round pick. Then I would love to have Stetson Bennett. Would you be down to go for a Hendon Hooker with like a 2nd, 3rd round pick? We're not getting anything higher than that, nor do I think we should invest anything higher than that. But let me know what you guys think about whether we should go for the draft, whether we should or not. I'm a fool for not getting a water beforehand, but we're going to try to keep pushing through with that one. Damn you, light. Oh, everything just fell. How embarrassing. Welcome back. That sucked for a second. Now my internet has to restabilize because my docking station got unplugged for a bit, but oh well. I could grab a beer. You know, I don't have a Vessasur, but I do have a Stella Artois. You know, a nice little Stella indeed. Vessasur, if you ever want to sponsor me, I will constantly drink the little Vessa. But I do want a nice little cerveza. So Adam E., you are right. I do need something to drink, and I'm gonna get a Stella. I'll be right back. We got it. Beer. Even if it lost me 4 people on the stream, the beer is always worth it. To those who stayed, you're awesome. You are very important to me. It's time to drink. So, where we last left off, we were talking about Miami Dolphins potentially drafting quarterbacks. I'm working. Get that Kool-Aid flow right now. Hey, there we go. Where we last left off, we were talking about a little Stetson Bennett, Hendon Hooker to the Dolphins, you know. And in time, I will go be talking about more draft options, because with that 3rd, 4th rounder, 5th round that we would use on Stetson Bennett, maybe we'd be better suited getting a nice running back, maybe some offensive line depth, although I'd rather go for offensive line or secondary with the 2nd or 3rd round pick. But we'll be seeing how that goes. By the way, I am a wonderfully masterful at pouring beers. Oof, look at that perfection. Nice little Stella, hella fella. That's how you pour a beer. Bada bing, bada bang. Bob, thank you for tuning in, grabbing a beer. Salute, my friend. Cheers to all watching. This is a Tinfoil Hat Thursday. A nice little beer introduced as well because I was thinking if I'm gonna get a water, I might as well get a beer and continue to ramble. Let's amp this up a little bit. Let's get a little edgier. Okay. Is there any realm where the Miami Dolphins, if we're talking Stetson Bennet, if we're talking Hendon Hooker, before I move on to actually trading away assets, if we're going to trade for Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, is there a possibility of the Dolphins saying, yeah, we want a rookie quarterback? It's not going to be Stetson or Hendon Hooker. Why not go for one of the top guys? I heard Chicago's trying to move on from the number 1 overall pick. There's some quarterbacks out there. Maybe a guy like Anthony Richardson starts to fall, and they say we want a Gator. Go get a UF wonder. Let's go for Anthony Richardson. Maybe they are enamored with the big arm of Will Levis. Is there a realm where the Miami Dolphins say, "Hold my beer. We're trading the farm and we're getting a top pick and snagging one of these best quarterbacks"? We don't have the ammo for a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud without giving up like multiple first-round picks, Tyreek Hill, Tua, and half the team. So, is there a world where we could go for like a Will Levis? Now, assuming Will Levis falls towards the end of the first round, maybe the Dolphins could trade up. Maybe they could be enticed enough. That'd be a pretty big red flag for me if we didn't make a move prior to the draft and all of a sudden we just trade up for Will Levis. And now we're walking Will Levis and Tua Tagovailoa. Considering Will Levis is a bit raw. That being said, it would cost a lot that I don't think it would be worth it. Now, the Noob Hub. I love that. Anthony Richardson, Stetson Bennett. How many bad QBs one team need? Well, Stetson Bennett, I agree. I don't think he's a good quarterback. I think he'll probably cap out as a winning backup in the NFL. A guy with, you talk about moxie, that's all Stetson Bennett has, baby. That's where I was kind of going with this Anthony Richardson point, though, Noob. I don't think Anthony Richardson is that good of a quarterback. Every time I try to watch a UF game, mind you, I am an FIU fan. Okay. Well, went to Syracuse. So when they're good at football, big Syracuse basketball guy, but when they're good at football, I'll watch them. Usually I'm stuck watching FIU football, and it is absolutely terrible. So when I did watch some UF ball, when I was out and about, for example, when I was like in Ocala and I got to watch the USF versus UF game in like October-ish, I think, around that time, the early season. Anthony Richardson, very good athlete, very impressive. I don't know if he's ready to be quarterback, not to the point where I would use a first-round pick on him. Now, if Anthony Richardson is sliding and he's there in like the third round, that the ceiling he has, you cannot pass up on that. And if McDaniel thinks he can mold him, by all means, even if it's just to clean him up and trade him around for a future third round or second round pick, you will get a return on Anthony Richardson. I don't think he should have any business being a starting quarterback soon. I saw a mock draft with Anthony Richardson going 22nd overall to the Ravens. Sent it to my Baltimore buddy. Shout out Mr. Kizzle. Instantly laughed at me, bro. He started insulting me, and I was like, bro, I did not make this mock draft. I'm just letting you know what a reporter from CBS said. Anthony Richardson does not have any business being in the first round. AR-15, great talent, great prospect, deserves a couple of years on the bench to figure it out. But could he be a great quarterback down the line? Maybe, if he puts it all together. Do I want to have that stress and that hassle on the Dolphins? No. Do I want to hear people saying, put him in now, knowing he's not ready? No. And then, yes, Noob, Levis probably going top 10. That arm talent seems to be making people fall in love. A little bit reminiscent of like when guys like Zach Wilson started chugging up draft boards. Will Levis didn't do the most at Kentucky. I mean, hey, he eats mayo like a champion, but he could. Yeah, Young going to the Texans. Panthers will jump Colts for Stroud. Colts will be forced to take Levis at 4. That could be crazy if 3 quarterbacks go in the top 5 like that. Noob. Hey, I'll go back to this. I'll remember you and I'll clip it up. That'd be an awesome call out, my friend. Excuse me for the burp, guys. But yeah, I don't see Will Levis falling past like 13. Okay. It could be something reminiscent of like when Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson started to slide down. Teams go like, are you serious? You see the talent that you're leaving on the board and they trade up? I don't think the Dolphins would get anywhere involved in that bidding war. And if we did, we just don't have the fuel, the ammo to really get after it like that, guys. So it could be a pipe dream. I only see Anthony Richardson coming to the Dolphins if he starts sliding down draft boards. But at that point, you'd have to wonder, why would we really chase after him if all these GMs are passing on him? He'd be a lot rawer than expected. So I think that if we are going quarterback, it'd be Stetson Bennet mainly because he's got the moxie to be a great backup, maybe even a spot starter, be a very cheap option, and is capable of winning those big games as we saw, handling those big moments. Maybe going for a guy like Hendon Hooker, if you want that big upside, but a little bit costlier, but you save money on cap space. It'll really be interesting to see how we attack in free agency. I think that we are really going to be going for backup quarterback. But hold on, let me fix this camera, and then we're going to be talking about Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers. Nope. Oh, yeah. Lamar Jackson. Now, as we saw from my little funny graphic, and I do think it is funny, I love my sense of humor. Brady retired. Lamar Jackson franchise tag. Now, this is most likely what is going to happen. All signs are pointing to Lamar Jackson hitting that franchise tag and figuring it out with the Ravens. Okay, whether that is going to be a long-term deal, whether that is him playing the franchise tag this year, proving it to the world that he will play full season, that his injury concerns are behind him, that he can win those big games, that he can last a full season playing his kind of football. That all remains to be seen. The Ravens did fire their offensive coordinator. Some people think that is a sign that they are getting ready to assign a new offensive coordinator to build a different offense without Lamar Jackson. There are some people who think that the firing of the offensive coordinator is a way to entice Lamar Jackson to pick his guy, have his say, and show their willingness to commit to Lamar and giving it a bigger voice on the Ravens. I lean more towards that camp. Whenever there's concerns of the offense, you can either blame the quarterback, you can blame the offensive coordinator. It looks like the Ravens are most likely going to be blaming the offensive coordinator. They said, hey, Mr. Greg Roman, never knew how to say that, but Mr. Greg, thank you. We're showing you the door. Lamar, we know you're unhappy. We know you want all this money. We're not paying you all this money. What we are going to do is franchise tag you, whether that's a trade and tag or Lamar, you stay here. You pick an offensive coordinator. You help us design an offense that you like to do more. Remember, Lamar loves to run, but he's always said that he prefers to be more of a pocket guy. That's what he views himself as a pocket passer with crazy legs. I think that Lamar Jackson will be staying with the Ravens and picking that offensive coordinator. But we've got the tinfoil hat on. So let's go down the realm where Lamar Jackson says, you know what? Screw you guys. Ring fingers up. I want a Super Bowl. That's right. We're not flicking them off. And it's not going to happen in Baltimore. And I'm done. I'm fed up with it. I want to leave. Okay, there is a big possibility Lamar Jackson gets franchise tagged and says, thank you for tagging me. I'm not playing here. Trade me. And the Ravens have to trade Lamar. Now, considering that they traded up in the first round to get him, I think they got him 32nd overall or like 30th overall. I always get confused with that. So I know Teddy Bridgewater, something similar happened to him with the Vikings. Anyways, what the Ravens would get for Lamar Jackson would be such a return on investment that they could definitely go down that route. And Miami would 100% be a prime destination that Lamar Jackson wants. I don't know if the Dolphins want Lamar, but Lamar would 1000% want Lamar. Wow, obviously Lamar Jackson wants Lamar Jackson. Come on, Fernando. Lamar Jackson would want to return home to Miami. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to play for the Dolphins? Who wouldn't want to play in Miami? We're talking about a kid who grew up in Pompano, who grew up in Pompano. He was at the same high school as freaking Kodak. Until Kodak got kicked out, but they still remained in touch. He still has his roots down here in South Florida. We've all seen the infamous play of Lamar Jackson absolutely cooking in high school, running down the sideline, and then just running in. My guy was an absolute electric factory. Huge South Florida player, as most South Florida football players are, but you knew Lamar Jackson was different. When he went to Louisville, he absolutely tore it up. Teddy Bridgewater put up numbers there. He had them numbies, but what Lamar Jackson did was absolutely insane. In Syracuse 2016, I was a freshman, and I got to see Louisville play Syracuse. Lamar Jackson versus Syracuse at the Carrier Dome. One of the greatest quarterback performances I've ever seen in my life. My roommate was super drunk. He woke up about a little bit about halftime. He was like, "Hey, I'm running to the Dome. How's the score? What's the game? Is it worth for me to come in?" I was like, we're losing like 40-0. Lamar Jackson is running, throwing. Come if you want to watch Lamar, but we're getting toasted. Syracuse went on to lose that game, I think like 49-8 or something, high 40s to like 7-8 points. Lamar Jackson had 400 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and 2 rushing TDs, and like 200 rushing yards. He was an animal. So when I saw the Ravens trade up for him, I was like, damn, this is a guy who's going to tear it up in the league. And Lamar Jackson has done that. Okay, he's won his MVP. He has made his name known. He has shown he can pass, but he is such an electric runner. And having him in Miami would obviously be dream come true. But it's a dream because the cost of what it would be for the Dolphins to bring him in, I don't know if I want to pay because it's going to be a bidding war. Okay. Plus the contract that Lamar Jackson would take in. And the fact that he's played 12 games last season, 12 games this year before, just as Tua has. And if you want to say he sat out for contract reasons, for the betterment of his health, because he was thinking of himself, but then on the same page say that Tua self-reported a concussion because he was looking out for his own interest and he quit on the team, then that means Lamar Jackson quit on the team. If he didn't quit on the team, then he actually got hurt, and then he's injury prone like Tua. So regardless of it, Lamar Jackson has his own flags. But it's also the fact that we're not the only ones who would be pursuing a Lamar Jackson in this pipe dream where he does get traded. The Jets showed interest. The Patriots have shown interest. Patriots don't know how that would really work. Cam Newton, the running experiment there, didn't work. But if Bill Belichick wants someone and he thinks he can make them work, who am I, little Nando, casual boy, La La Land Nando with the tinfoil hat? Who am I to go against Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaches of all time? Not the best, because that's to the Don Shula. See right there, boss. But if Lamar goes to the AFC East and not go to the Dolphins, it would definitely be a big knife to the belly. Regardless of his success, there would be a lot of noise, a lot of grumblings, a lot of disgruntled Dolphins fans saying, of course he's going to the Jets. Of course he's going to the Patriots. He wouldn't want to go to the Dolphins. That'd be something to do with his agent. That'd be maybe the decision of the Dolphins. Out of the Jets and the Patriots, interestingly enough, those two teams have to have much higher concerns of upgrading quarterback than the Dolphins do. At least with the Dolphins, we know that it's a health issue, not a talent issue. Zach Wilson is garbage. They definitely need a new starting quarterback. They have said so as much. They are even being paired up with Aaron Rodgers, who we'll talk about in a second as well. But freaking the Patriots have Whack Jones and Zappy Hour. Okay, like they have, you got cute little nicknames for garbage QBs at the end of the day. These little guys who just aren't good enough. Okay, Mac Jones wasn't even good enough to hold to his jockstrap at Bama. and he got a lucky Pro Bowl because of the Patriots slobber fest, and it didn't happen. And then this year he regressed hardcore after being named the top 100 player in the NFL. Mac Jones is whack Jones, mac and cheese, soft like Kraft, man. It is squishy, squishy, squishy. Not that guy. So could Lamar Jackson get traded to teams like the Jets or the Patriots? I would see the Jets having a much higher chance. Same reason why they could get Rodgers. And like I said, we'll talk about that in a second. They just have a lot higher cap space. They have more assets to trade with, and they're more desperate. Okay. New York has constantly given this air of desperation to constantly be clawing. The Dolphins have made some dumb moves. We've overpaid people in the past, but the Jets are one of the reasons why the Jets are a laughing stock. Okay. We Finns are candy ass sometimes, okay? Look at our colors. We're not exactly the toughest on the streets out here. Sometimes we make some dumb moves. We're not the New York Jets, okay? That's all I got to say. Let's look at the chat. I see you tweet about that mean ass little kid experience you had. Just so you know, not all little kids are like that. My daughter would be your best friend. Oh, that was more like I was like at the doctor's office, man, and like I'm just a positive dude, man. Like I did have some little bully experiences when I was in 4th grade before when I was small, and then I grew up to be 6 feet by the time I was in the 5th grade, and then gotta take care of that. But bullies, I don't fuck with that shit, man. And I was just at the doctor's office waiting for my little asthma doctor's appointment, and in the same office, kids can go there to get like allergy shots. So this little girl was telling her mom about some mean bully, man, and it got me tight, man. I don't mess with bullying. Teach your kids better. Nando doesn't fly with that shit, man. The little girl was like, yeah, she said I was weird and rude and that I never have friends. Is that true, mom? Screw that, bro. Teach your kids better than that. But it wasn't about me. Adam E. Rodgers to Raiders. Adam wants it. Ooh. So I think we're gonna talk about Rodgers in a second, man. I'm opening my second beer, but Lamar, I think his top moves are probably in the AFC East. The Raiders do need a new quarterback. The Niners might be looking for someone as well. I don't see Lamar going out there, not because it's a distance thing or anything, but just coincidentally, I think his top suitors are in the AFC East. They are in this AFC conference. It'd be interesting to see if the Ravens trade him to an AFC rival. But at the end of the day, if those are his top suitors, that's how the cookie crumbles. I think they'd want the Jets as well, just because they have a lot of capital to use that Ravens could then use to get another quarterback in turn. But I think it's going to be interesting. But I will talk about Rodgers because that's a great point. Rodgers to the Raiders and then Derek Carr to the Jets. Like I said, there's a big chance that there's a lot of talk that Lamar Jackson gets franchise tagged, in which case all this speculation about where he's going doesn't really come to fruition. But Adam, Rodgers to Raiders, Adam would love that. I'm pretty sure, if he knows that Derek Carr, his Fresno State friend, FSF, is leaving and he might not be able to follow suit. The second best thing for Davante Adams would be to get his second best friend, Aaron Rodgers, to come with him to the Raiders. This was not as good of a pour. I apologize. But if we had Mr. Rodgers on the move, and there are rumors that he is disgruntled. Okay, he wants to leave. And we know that Derek Carr he's done in LA. They've said so as much. He's stepped aside from the team. Russell, I could definitely see a world where Rodgers goes to the Raiders, links up with Davante Adams, gets happy there. And because of that, well, first it would probably be Carr goes to the Jets so that they get some draft capital. Then use those picks, those pieces to trade for Rodgers to come to the Raiders. And I think if we saw Derek Carr go to the Jets, which is one of Aaron Rodgers' top quarterback spots, I think it would truly solidify that idea that, yep, Rodgers is going to the Raiders. all these little sad edits of Jets fans in the little Rodgers gear not going to fruition. I don't see Aaron Rodgers going to New York anyways, mainly because it would just continue to further this idea that Rodgers is just following in the footsteps of Brett Favre, going first on the Packers, then continuing that shadow into New York. What's next? We're going to see Aaron Rodgers on the Vikings. Like, it's just this idea that doesn't sit well with me. I just don't see it happening. It could. Like I said, the Jets reek of that desperation, and if they offer, a lion's share, if they offer the house for Aaron Rodgers, the Packers could be hard pressed and say, "Hey, please, Rodgers, get over your feelings. Let's take this to the house, man." But they're in Vegas now. Yes, a lot of teams are getting ready in Vegas for the Pro Bowl, man. And that's an interesting thought, James Santos. Great point, man. A lot of executives could be chatting. It's one of the reasons why the Fangio news got out a little bit closer, is because executives are meeting up right now. Whether it's the Senior Bowl, whether it's the Pro Bowl, as free agency starts to get closer, as the draft gets closer as well, execs are just talking to each other, man. Moves are being made. And if Rodgers gets traded, Jordan Love is waiting in the wings for Green Bay. They could say, "Hey, Rodgers, you're disgruntled. We're not winning with you. It's time to probably move on." They could opt to do that. Now, there is talks of Aaron Rodgers to the Dolphins. There has been a little bit of linking there. And I'll admit, I used to be a massive Aaron Rodgers fan. I still am a big Rodgers fan, just not massive due to his antics recently. I'm a very mellow, positive, laid-back guy, man, which is one of the reasons I really like Tua. I don't like a boasty, flashy player. At times, it's a bit cringy to me. I like just being a guy who's chilled, confident, act like you've been here before, When Rodgers starts going on his tirades and his little escapades, like, it started rubbing me the wrong way. That being said, he's still so talented. And Christmas Day, while it was brutal, and I ended up getting emotional and almost crying because the Dolphins pissed away the game, I almost cried just being there on Christmas Day watching Dolphins football and getting to know that Aaron Rodgers, a legend, one of my favorite players throughout my life, I was able to see him in person. The idea of being able to see him in the aqua and orange on a consistent basis playing for the Dolphins does entice me. But with the same stuff as Lamar Jackson, for example, for Lamar Jackson, I saw a hypothetical trade of 2 first-rounders, Christian Wilkins and Jalen Waddle. Wow, no way in hell would I do all that for Lamar Jackson. No way would I do that for Aaron Rodgers, though. Okay, Lamar Jackson, at least that's more of a health issue and the big money. But in theory, if it all works out with Lamar, at least he's 26 and you have a quarterback for ages to come. And I'd be so excited to watch that style of football play. And while I'd be excited to watch Aaron Rodgers style of football in Miami, the price tag for a 38-year-old quarterback cannot be that high, okay? I've got to believe that if Rodgers was cheap, the Broncos would have traded for him instead of Russell Wilson. Instead, they traded 2 first-rounders, like 2 second-rounders, Shelby Harris, who was defensive tackle, Noah Fant, a great upcoming tight end, and Drew Lock, who was just a throwaway in the trade. But all of that for Russell Wilson, and it failed. And you saw how far back it's going to set this Broncos team. A team that won 4 games or something? 3 games? Russell Wilson forced them to mortgage their future. They got their coach fired still. He was abysmal in the games he played. He missed time as well. And it's clear to see that he's on the downswing of his career. Best case scenario, you stop that cliff dive and you get him back closer, but he'll never be that peak. He'll never be that Russell Wilson that he was traded for. So do I want to take that risk for Aaron Rodgers, who is 6 years older, who is more talented than Russell Wilson, but with the higher age comes a higher risk? A guy who has had injury concerns, whether it's his collarbone, whether it's taking nasty hits, and we don't have the best offensive line? It's a massive risk that I don't think is worth it. I really don't think it is, and Rodgers still has to have his big money, and even if he were to restructure it, or even if Green Bay were to take on part of it, they take on part of it means we give up more draft picks. I don't want to. I'm not too interested in doing so at all. Beer was a bad choice, by the way. I'm on my second beer, and my throat's still killing me. So probably needed water. But I do agree, though. He is definitely gone, though, Adam. It's not going to be pretty to see how that all unfolds in an ideal world. Aaron Rodgers is a Green Bay legend. He was only able to win one Super Bowl. It would have been nice to see him win a second one with them. It was not to be the case. He has had his glorious moments, his runs, we're running the table, the RELAX season, but he's definitely gone, though. I'm curious to see what the Bucs do at quarterback with all the players they're about to lose. Agreed, man. They might go for a big rebuild and say we're rolling with Kyle Trask, trading a bunch of players and seeing what youthful pieces we'll have to rock with. Guys like Mike Evans or Chris Godwin could be moved for good capital. Or they could say, hey, we've got a good – well, no. I want to say we've got a good team. We can just bring a new QB and win it. You could have won it with Tom Brady. I don't really see who you're bringing in except you're trading for an Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson. But even then, I don't see the Buccaneers mortgaging their future when they most likely just have to take it on the chin, realize they won a Super Bowl recently, and just reload and rebuild. Raiders have not given permission to Carr to seek a trade either, though. Agreed. I think that the Raiders are the ones trying to trade Carr. They're not allowing Carr to go seek it, which is frustrating. They're going to be caring more about the best value they can get for Carr, which I think is a beyond messed up move. The blood, sweat, and tears that Derek Carr has put into this organization, the Raiders deserve to do right by him and allow him to search for a team, allow him to search for a place that fits him best, and allow him to move on. They're still going to get good value for him. They're still going to get very fair compensation. Let him move on. There's talks about maybe Carr going to the Dolphins. I'm not so sure about that. I know that's not what you're saying, Adam. I'm not sure how much of an improvement he is from Tua. I do like Derek Carr, the person and the man. He's someone that I wish for success. He's got a nice-ish arm. But if he couldn't do that with the Raiders and Devontae Adams and Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow and Josh Jacobs tearing it up this year, I don't really see him doing that with the Dolphins. So in that sense, I bid you adieu, Mr. Fellow Sir. Yeah, I'm also curious to see if the Titans stick with Malik Willis. It was definitely interesting to see them go with Joshua Dobbs at the end of the season when Malik Willis was healthy. I know sometimes you have to protect a quarterback from himself. His confidence is key. Getting that crush too early on, and you'll see a quarterback never recover again. Nathan Peterman, we salute you. But Malik Willis, a tantalizing talent. It'll be interesting to see if the Titans continue with him. And that's why, Adam, if the Titans say, Tannehill, you're not that guy anymore, strap on the tinfoil hat, Adam. You're right. I was trying to make a dolphin fin for the hat earlier on. It wasn't really working. It was kind of coming out to a little bit more like a robe than I wanted it to look like. So we'll figure it out. Maybe I might make bars like a little helmet. But tinfoil hat. Russell, Adam, will pair up your questions together. I'm curious to see if the Titans will stick with Malik Willis. There could be a world where tinfoil hat's strapped on, but they stick with Malik Willis so heavily that they cut Tannehill. And I was actually a fan of this. Bringing Tannehill as quarterback too, I would allow me to reflip over my Tannehill jersey. But in all seriousness, that's what Tannehill left the Dolphins to do for at Tennessee. He was happy to do it for them, and it produced his best football when Marcus Mariota went down. Tannehill, with a new chip on his shoulder, went in and was ready to go. Tannehill would be, if I had talked about Jimmy Garoppolo like 30 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago, if I was ready to bring in Jimmy Garoppolo for an expensive backup, I'd be so down to bring Ryan Tannehill as an expensive backup quarterback, man. We show a guy who has shown that he can play in those big moments, big playoff games, big spots. And what would be more full circle than Tannehill coming back and contributing to this team? It'd bring a tear to my freaking face, man. If they cut Tannehill and he decides to come to Miami for a team-friendly deal, I would not be opposed to Ryan Tannehill returning to the Miami Dolphins. Not at all. But Russell, I agree. We do need to bring in a quarterback. Okay. Baker Mayfield, quarterback 2. Baker, Taylor Heineke, Gardner Minshew. That's the tier I fall in more just because it's more of the cheapish quarterbacks who are still very capable, have upside due to their age. If we're getting a backup, I don't want like a veteran. I don't want these oldies who can maybe pinch in. I want someone who at least is young enough to be interested still, dialed in, hungry, and focused on continuing to succeed, man. Now, obviously, Russell, though, the Tennessee Titans could keep Tannehill, and then maybe there's a world where they say Malik Willis isn't that guy, and they're trading him for cheap. Maybe the Dolphins pull a little Josh Rosen move, and we bring in a disgruntled QB like that. This was not the best class for quarterbacks last year. Maybe the Titans say, hey, we missed on Malik, and the Dolphins bring him in. Don't really see that happening. Same thing people are talking about with San Fran. Maybe they don't want to keep Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. Maybe they move one. If that happens, I see them moving Purdy before they move Lance. But even though Lance probably has more value, I see most of the quarterbacks that are young, those staying with their teams for the most part for now, though. All in all, though, well, I do think Lamar Jackson and Ryan Tannehill could be traded. Not Ryan Tannehill. Well, I do think Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers could be traded, and they could be in contention for the Dolphins. Maybe they want to go to the Dolphins. Maybe the Dolphins are interested in them. Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson have their risks. One, Rodgers' age, Lamar's his health, and they're going to be very expensive. Contract-wise, trade-wise, and the Dolphins have a lot to fix. And it's why it's frustrating sometimes to talk about quarterback when, for all intents and purposes, Mr. Chris Greer has been quite clear. I would say with Tua, he's their starting quarterback. I mean, I don't know how any more we can say clearly. Tua's cleared concussion protocol. Yes, they haven't agreed for his fifth-year option yet. There's no need to right now. There's no rush, no pressure. This season technically hasn't even ended yet. But regardless of whether we pick up the fifth-year option of Tua or not, we need to add another quarterback in the room. I think it's going to be as a backup. I would hope so because we have 0 running backs under contract. We still need a middle linebacker. Still need some corner help, maybe a third safety. More offensive line help. So many pieces that the Dolphins still have to address, okay? Yes, one of the first and most important dominoes just fell by all intents and purposes, getting Vic Fangio. We need more. If they draft for a back quarterback, which I disagree, but the cheapest route, I'd go Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I believe he has more upside over Skyler. He is from UCLA. Go check him out if you don't know him. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I am not familiar with your game. And again, I have to better verse myself in this upcoming draft class. I'm not the biggest college guy, as I said. I go to FIU and I went to Syracuse. It's not exactly a lot to be proud of when it comes to college football. Cuse did get ranked briefly. But Dorian Robinson-Thompson. Oh, he's okay. I have seen a couple UCLA games. Okay, this one looks familiar. I like it. 6'1", 205 pounds, similar mold to little Tua size. Okay, he's at the East-West Shrine Bowl, and this is what I was gonna say. Tommy DeVito is there. I like Tommy DeVito as I don't think he has any more upset than Skylar Thompson. I don't think he's that big of a mold, but if any NFL GMs somehow see this one day or any scouts, Tommy DeVito, that kid. I remember when I was going to Syracuse, he was going in at the same time, just broke out of the Elite 11. He was like a 3-star, 4-star quarterback guy out of New Jersey. He's got moxie, okay? Up and down career at Syracuse, but he's balling at the Eastern Shrine Bowl. If the Dolphins check Tommy DeVito out, that'd be insane. I would actually get a Tommy DeVito jersey. I got to share 2 beers with Mr. DeVito. Well, at the time I just called him Tommy because we were the same age. But DeVito, Mr. DeVito, if you make it to the Dolphins, you owe me some beers because I bought you beers at Syracuse. So that's all I freaking know. But back to Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I like this kid. I've seen a couple of games of it from UCLA. 2-time second team all conference in the Pac-12. I am going to admit I am a bit of a Pac-12 hater. I don't think it is the most talented conference. But like I said, I'm a guy who watches Conference USA football. So I don't really have a lot of place to talk. I'm going to be checking more of him out. Russell, definitely an interesting guy. I'm reading a brief little prospect on him right now, seeing where he could probably go. 6'1", 6.5, 200 pounds. Best stuff: athleticism, arm strength, competitive toughness versus his size, mechanical consistency over aggression. More of a spread guy. Okay, very athletic, undersized, experienced. I like it, I do like quarterbacks who are more 22, 23, a little bit more established, a little bit more experienced as well. Athleticism can't be taught. Mechanics can be fixed in theory. I'd like him if it's a developmental quarterback. And if we're talking pure upside, I'd be down. However, in that world, if we have Tua, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and Skyler, I don't know if we'd rock those 3 quarterbacks. Maybe that'd be more of a camp for Skyler Thompson, which would put a lot of Dolphins fans in arms. But we'll see. Oh, I wasn't reading the comments. I was just reading. You probably got a good take on it as well. Dual threat, fits balls into NFL tight windows. I like. He's athletic like Lamar, just doesn't have the same cachet. Yeah, if he doesn't have the same arsenal, it could be an interesting choice for the Dolphins. I do think that if we add someone in through the draft, I don't think, and if he's like one of these late guys, like this Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he's like a 5th, 6th rounder. I don't think that's a knock on Tua. That might be a knock on Skyler. And as long as we've got the tinfoil hat, we're in a safe space right now. If we draft a late round quarterback in the same 6th, 7th round area, Thompson was a 7th rounder, but if we get someone who we're not investing too much more, but still investing over Skyler Thompson, I think that's more of a knock on Skyler. I think he's more on the hot seat than Tua is right now. Again, Tua has the injury concerns, but talent is not the concern. With Skyler Thompson, you were talking about an athlete who was 25, 26-year-old. Yes, he was a rookie last year, but being that age, you are more formed. Your athletic prime is when you're 26 to 28 years old. So to expect Skyler to have this crazy jump, a little bit unrealistic. It's one of the reasons why Stetson Bennet in his winning ways, it's nice to see that he has that now, but to think he's going to be a true franchise quarterback is ridiculous. It's not like he's going to magically grow in the NFL. Fifth round, scheme fit. Sky would have to battle for number 2. Yeah, that'd be interesting. They can move. I don't know if Skyler would survive the practice squad. We'd have to do that protection. I don't know. I think during the offseason, it's easier to move someone to the practice squad, I think, without doing that waiver BS. But if that's the case, then yeah, we can just have him as protected and we could be good to go. If not, I do think Sky would get claimed. Ooh, gee, a real tinfoil question. Break from the Dolphin stuff for a second. Why is the 7 in 11 lowercase? Like 7-11? Is that what you're talking about? Like, why is the 7 in 11? Huh? Why I'm reading this wrong. I apologize. Why is the N in 7-11 lowercase? I'm just dumb. Sorry about that, G. Thanks for tuning in, by the way, boss. Huh. I don't know. If you know, that'd be awesome. I have no clue, but I'm going to just guess because I have the tinfoil hat on. 7. Why is the N in 7-11 lowercase? Yeah, Adam, it could be because it's less threatening. I think it just looks more aesthetically appealing, man. Kings Dolphins 89. What is up? Thanks for tuning in. We were talking about quarterback talk. Brief reel of the. I don't know. Maybe it looks less threatening. I think it looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing when I look at the actual logo, not when it's typed out that way. It almost like it rounds it off at the end. But an N would have just fit a little bit more. I think maybe because the N would have looked more like 2 sevens. That's just the instinct I'm going to go with. Although I would have made my N into 2 sevens for 7-Eleven. And then 777, we in heaven, baby. But missed opportunity by you by 7-Eleven. Gee, I love that question, though. And I encourage anyone to ask me random stuff like this because that's why we got the tinfoil hat on. To just debate and talk, man. Malik Cunningham from Louisville, dual threat and accurate, 3rd, 4th round projection. I could like that. I know we need athleticism in this scheme. I know that McDaniel definitely covets that to a certain extent, and I'd love to see that. You're making me wish I had brushed up a little bit more on my quarterback talk for the draft. I know the top guys. I don't know the middle round guys more than obviously the bigger name guys like Stetson Bennet, Hendon Hooker. I've cooled way off on Skyler. My thing with Skyler is I think he'd be a very good player. In the sense that we remember expectations. I think he'd be a very good backup, very good football player. By all intents and purposes, one of the best 64 quarterbacks in the NFL. Just don't know if he's good enough to be our starter or the guy I want to be our starter. Every year, there are a couple teams who will play starters that aren't the top 32 quarterbacks. I think a guy like Stetson Bennett, a guy like Skylar Thompson could be of those backups who can maybe start on the worst teams in the NFL, but would rather be backups on some of the best teams in the NFL. And I think that I'm okay with that. I think that Skylar Thompson would be okay with that. I think anyone would be okay with being one of the backups of the best teams in the NFL, having a career like Matt Moore. You get your ring, you get your money, you get loved, and you fill in action when needed. Okay. Can Skylar Thompson develop into more than that? Maybe. Who knows? But I think if the goal should be realistic and saying he's going to be a good football player. I'm not expecting the world from him right now. But I agree. I would never even heat it up to the point of him being a franchise guy. Okay. Like I said, he's 25, 26. And if Stetson Bennett, I don't think he could turn into that guy at his age. Skylar Thompson, unfortunately, age betrays you. Yo, Max Duggan from TCU. The finger-licking monster. The Gingy himself. One of the greatest ginger quarterbacks to come from TCU because, you know, you got Andy Dalton. You got Carson Palmer, who's kind of a bit of a redhead. Max Duggan would be awesome. Again, you talk about moxie. That kid has it oozing out of every red strand in his body. My guy, Max Duggan. I love his little leg sleeve. That kid knows how to run, knows how to play ball. Does he have the build, the tools, the weapons to be a true franchise QB? No, maybe not. But why not give him a shot? I'd love to bring him in. Love to see what McDaniel can work around with. And you know he's a hard worker. You know he'd be committed and focused. Okay, I got to hear him on Part of My Take talk for a bit. And the guy is dialed in. He wants to win. You got to see him in those overtime games. Just pour it out on the line. I love to see that. Damn, Max Duggan. The Gingy himself. I love to see Dougie over here. Jordan's Google looked more graceful. It was too much to be all capital levels. Yeah, I say aesthetically appealing. I like Malik Cunningham, but I don't see Miami spending a third on the backup quarterback. That's the only reason why maybe Stetson Bennett, Hendon Hooker are probably also off the table as well. Just because if we're talking about a backup, it'd be a little too much to invest that much. Granted, if they do, it would be a knock on Tua, showing that they not a knock on Tua, but more of a eyebrow raising of, oh, we're not totally sold on the Tua talk. Yeah, we need a starter for QB. Oh, hooked up Joe. Garoppolo was one of the first guys I talked about like 30, 40 minutes ago, but to to recap, if we're talking about free agent quarterbacks, pure free agent quarterback hooked up, Joe, first of all, thanks for tuning in, man. I think that Garoppolo is probably the best free agent quarterback on the market, albeit the most expensive as well. But when you talk about familiarity with the McDaniel system, when you talk about the fact that he was willing to restructure his contract this year, no worries, boss. Jimmy Garoppolo was willing this year to rework his contract with the San Francisco 49ers to return as a backup role. And then when he came in to play for Trey Lance, he was ready, locked in, ready to go. He wasn't lost. He wasn't unmotivated like a certain, rhymes with Betty Tidgewater. Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo would be a phenomenal, probably best option for a backup quarterback. The most expensive, but I definitely think that money would be well worth it indeed. The type of guy that if Tua were to go down at whatever point in the season, I would be beyond confident sticking Jimmy G in there to win a couple of games as long as he needed to win games, man. But no worries, man. Glad to have recapped it for anybody who joined in late. It's probably about it's an hour 20 in, so probably like an hour ago. At that point when I was talking free agents, somewhere around then. I'll timestamp it after this video to get it all nice and pretty. And yes, I'm saying Tua can make those, Jimmy can't. Of course, that's why I think Jimmy would be the best backup who can start, but I think he'd still be a backup. Cost is a problem with Jimmy G, and he can't make all the throws in Mike's system. Yeah, again, like, if anyone knows about Jimmy G and the throws he can and can't make, I think, Russell, it would be more McDaniel. I agree. I don't think Jimmy G is as good as Tua. I think Tua is better. But if McDaniel brings in Jimmy G knowing, okay, instead of eliminating 60% of the playbook, I've got to eliminate 20% of the playbook when Jimmy G steps in, I think he would definitely opt for that. You know what I'm saying? The drop-off, maybe not in the talent drop-off would be definitely noticeable, but maybe the knowledge drop-off might be the saving grace there and make it worth that money. Although I don't think it truly would be. Kind of regretting opening the second beer. No worries, though. We always appreciate everybody who's tuning in. For those who are checking us out, feel free to drop a like, little comment in the chat. It's always appreciated. If you want to drop a subscribe to the YouTube or the Twitter, definitely always love that as well. Continue checking for positive vibes. Tinfoil Hat Thursday is my favorite segment by far. I could go for hours. Slap this bad boy on, get some beers, get some vibes rolling. Just talk football, man. At the end of the day, I get it. Some people like to talk conspiracies, some theories, speculation for clicks and views. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right, the way I know how, with a nice tinfoil hat on the head. And my hair is a mess, but it's okay. And just keep speculating. Just keep it talking. Yes, I want to spend money elsewhere, which is, again, why I'm still down. Out of all the quarterbacks we've talked, whether it's free agent, expensive guys like Jimmy G, whether it's trading for Lamar, for Aaron Rodgers, for trading for cheaper options like Derek Carr, drafting guys like Stetson Bennet, Hendon Hooker, Anthony Richardson, maybe Malik Cunningham, Dorian Thompson Robinson, all these guys. I'm still for the decision that we go for Taylor Heineke, Baker Mayfield, preferably Gardner Minshew, the youngish quarterbacks who could back up / spot start, have some nice energy, some nice moxie to inject some life in the team if they need to go in and rally the boys to a couple wins. Spend that money elsewhere, exactly. Target a third safety like Jesse Bates, who I do like from Cincinnati. There's talks about maybe getting Jordan Poyer, but Jordan Poyer is a little older. And while it would be fun to stick it to the Buffalo Bills, it's a double-edged sword. If Poyer comes here and drops off or regresses, then that's just them laughing at us. And we're paying a Buffalo Bill to have a Miami vacation. I don't like that. So Jesse Bates, he's been interesting, but he's definitely had a success in Cincinnati. Last year, they thought he was going to leave. He stuck around. This year, however, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to stick with the team. And he's probably one of the first pieces to be leaving when that big Cincinnati team starts to break up a tad. Lavonte David is older, still uber athletic, still I'll always have a special place in my heart for him being that first true mold of a Swiss Army knife linebacker, the guys who are athletic enough to go into coverage, but still strong enough and tough enough to lay the frickin' boom. And yeah, Bates is 25, just as good at coverage as Poyer. And this is not a knock on Brandon Jones or Javon Holland, but rather a player who complements them. He's a great coverage guy. It'll allow Brandon Jones to play more to his box safety role, to live in the backfield, to get after the quarterback, the running back, play hard, physical football, and just make some tackles, and let Holland to be more of a playmaker, Bates to be more of a coverage guy. It'd be just a massive upgrade to the safety that is currently relying on Eric Rowe. And when Brandon Jones went down, Verone McKinley started getting involved more as well. Improve the safety room, 1,000%. Oh, yeah, Dolphin JK, the Pro Bowl activities begin tonight. I actually might be going to the NHL All-Star game this weekend. Sunday, I'm meeting with the OGs, the high school boys. I'm 24, so the guys I've been in fantasy football leagues with for 10 years plus, 11 years plus, the guys I've known for 10, 12 years, we're meeting on Sunday. I don't think we're watching the Pro Bowl or anything, but we're having ourselves a time. So I'll probably be watching the Pro Bowl activities tonight, maybe going to some NHL All-Star activities because it is right here on Sunrise. I live in Plantation, Florida, so South Florida. It's like 10 minutes away from the Panther Stadium. It could be a fun time indeed. But the Pro Bowl, NHL All-Star game, good weekend for sports this weekend. They'll draft the guy behind him. That's why I think they go with David over Edmonds because of football instincts and football IQ. Yeah, Tremaine Edmonds from the Bills would be nice as well. Again, stick it to the Bills. But Levante David, that veteran presence that he brings, there's talks that Tremaine Edmonds benefits a lot from Matt Milano. He's not the guy, and the Dolphins will be bringing him here to see if he can elevate into being the middle linebacker, the captain, the patrolman, the green dot wearer. Levante David, we know he can fill that role. We know he can lead a team. We know he's won a Super Bowl in that size. And the age, yes, his cost, Russell, will probably not be as high of a price tag as, say, a guy like, Tremaine Edmonds, who's looking to get paid. But, I do want Channing Tindall to ball, guys. And I've got the tinfoil hat for me here. One of the reasons why I've said maybe we're going for middle linebacker in the draft, or why we are going to be able to draft or to sign a middle linebacker with money and commit more money to. Well, let me just start this point over. Sorry. One of the reasons why I've said we could draft a middle linebacker. Oh, sorry. One of the reasons why I said we can draft a quarterback. One of the reasons why I said we can sign a free agent quarterback that's going to be an expensive backup is because I think that despite having a need at middle linebacker, maybe we addressed it in the draft, but more likely than not, man, Levante David, Tremaine Edmonds could be fine. Channing freaking Tindall. Okay, Channing Tindall did not get a lot of love this year. He did not play that much. There was all this talk about him being the ultimate spy for Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, Aaron Rodgers, and especially Josh Allen. He's going to shut them down. He didn't really do much this year. But another year of learning the playbook, another year of learning football in the NFL level. And a guy who never started at Georgia finally getting some more work and some more shine in the NFL. 6'2", 240-pound monster. 99th percentile in athletic score. Runs 42-inch vertical, 4.48 40. An absolute beast. Yes, I think Channing Tindall is going to be poised for a massive, massive year two. If Vic Fangio and the boys see it, then we are very nice and poised indeed for a run. Wow. Gotta blow my nose. You guys know I'm allergic to beer? It's actually a Marco tradition. That's my last name, but a Fernando tradition, at least. Side note, before we talk a little bit more about year two leads for guys like Ezra Conma, Adam, I see you. And Channing Tindall. Do you guys know I'm allergic to beer? It's actually something my dad and I think it's the wheat in beer. Because when I drink stouts, it doesn't really hit me as hard. Like more malty beers. But something in beer for my dad causes crazy, crazy sneeze effects, man. My grandpa, apparently my dad's dad, he passed away, unfortunately, when I was about 2 or 3 years old. But el gran Chicho, el gran Jose, my grandpa, you could tell he was drunk, not because he would be physically impaired, because my record's 23 beers, my dad's record's 44 beers. My grandpa apparently 50s, 60s was a joke for him in a 24-hour period. You could only tell when he started to sneeze. And with my dad, it's the same. When my dad starts drinking, I can't tell if he's actually drunk when he comes, when I see him or when I go over to his house. But when he starts to sneezing, I know my man's not allergic to anything except for beer. So that's how I tell. For me, my nose gets a little runny sometimes. I start coughing. I start to tighten up a little bit. But I freaking love beer. It's the Fernando curse, the market curse. Oh, well. But Jerome Baker clone for Channing Tindall. I hope that he is better than Jerome Baker in the sense that we drafted Channing Tindall to be that athletic, rangy, middle linebacking patrol man, the guy who is able to go sideline to sideline, do a little bit of everything, very well balanced, stop the run, get after the quarterback, play in coverage, cover tight ends, wide receivers, the slot, the middle of the field, whatever he gets asked to do. Whereas Jerome Baker is more of the blitz boy. He is a blitzing linebacker who's undersized but super talented, 6'1", but knows how to get after the QB. When we ask him to play that patrol man middle linebacker, that's where the issues start to truly arise. It's a little frustrating for him on that end. When you look at guys like Landon Roberts, who's strictly a run-stopping linebacker, Duke Riley, who's a jack of all trades, master of none, but not truly proficient at all those little trades he works on. I hope that Channing Tindall is better than that, and he was only a 3rd-round pick. He's not exactly this true awesome linebacker. We have seen Chad Muma for the Jaguars, 3rd-rounder, did some pretty nice things. Leo Chenal for the Chiefs, 3rd-rounders, did some nice stuff. So I'm hoping Channing Tindall follows suit. And if he comes from that Georgia scheme, that Georgia team that has produced such talent, I'm hoping he is a better version of Jerome Baker, hopefully. Maybe as athletic as Jerome, but bigger, stronger, faster, and more talented, hopefully. I do think we're going to trade Wilson. He was a nice punt returner, but he doesn't seem to have a true role here. Granted, we signed him to be a wide receiver 2 to pair up with Jalen Waddle. Then we traded for Tyreek, and I just don't think he ended up being factored in the plans. I think we could trade Wilson because I think Eazy-E, Eric Ezukanma, Mr. Adam Sadowski. As I've always said, Mr. Sadowski, whenever I hear that name, I always think of the Big Lebowski, but I digress. Do I think Eazy-E is going to ball out next year with Waddle and Hill? Oh, yeah. The role that Trent Sherfield, that River Craycraft, that at times Cedric Wilson was trying to fill in, I think Eric Ezukanma is going to, braces or not, my guy is going to hit the ground running and take an absolute monster of a year in terms of a year 2 leap. I mean, there's nowhere to go really but up for him, but the talent is there. We saw him shredding in preseason. We saw him in camp looking phenomenal. We've seen Waddle and Hill, both show him some respect. I think Braylon Sanders got a little bit of work last year because he was a little bit more poised and ready to go. Eric Ezukanma did play a lot of wide back in college as well, but this year, fully ready to rock. None of the little nuances of the game. Maybe his route tree's more developed, more confident, whatever it be. I think Eazy-E poised to make some noise. If we can stretch out 700 yards, 800 yards from Eric Ezukanma next year, use that 6'3", 220-pound size to our advantage, add some more trickery. Like I said, he was a wide back at Texas Tech. I want to see him use that frame, that size, speed combo a little bit better. Could you imagine a wishbone? A running back, Tyreek and Waddle? Or Tyreek on wide receiver, and you have like Waddle at receiver, and you have Tyreek, Eric Ezukanma, and our running back, or even Tyreek, Waddle, and Hill all in the backfield, the epic wishbone offense. That's what I want to see. I 1,000% agree. I believe his role increases a milli. But Trent Sherfield will be signed back, in my opinion. He was originally signed to be depth, a guy who knew the scheme and was a great contributor on special teams. He ended up being more than that, whether that was due to an actual show of talent or whether that was more of his familiarity with Mike McDaniel's scheme and having a leg up on everyone else in the room. I'd be definitely love to have Trent Sherfield to return. Easy will hopefully be hitting the playbook, practice, whatever it takes more than physical ability. I agree. We saw the physical ability last year, which is why I think everybody was getting so excited. But the playbook and the little stuff in practice that we didn't see, maybe fleshing out the more complicated plays, if he struggled in that end, remember, this Dolphins offense, especially with Tua at the quarterback, is very predicated on timing. And if he couldn't get that timing down, there was those issues that he had to catch up with. NFL game is a little faster. Eric Ezukanma, you were a 4th-round pick, a luxury pick, and a pick where I didn't need to see you hit the ground running right away. I didn't need to see Eazy-E just go out there and tear it up. Because would have been nice to see him get injected in some games. But when we had Trent Sherfield, River Craycraft, Cedric Wilson all in front of him, it's like we needed Eric Ezukanma to come in and be our wide receiver 3. So takes more than physical ability, but hopefully this year the mental catches up to the physical, man. When you see my last name, you should think Lewandowski. Adam Sadowski, you are right, my friend. I did go to Poland. Robert Lewandowski, I went to Poland in 2016. Robert Lewandowski is one of my favorite soccer players. I got to see, if you think NFL players are stars here, NBA players are stars there. When I was in Poland, you talk about Dove, McDonald's, food, little random commercials, clothing commercials, modeling. Every billboard was just a different angle of Robert Lewandowski. So, Mr. Adam Sadowski, I will think of Robert Lewandowski when I think of you, man. That is a much better comparison than the Big Lebowski. What a legend. He actually scored a phenomenal goal yesterday for Barca. It was like his 13th league goal, maybe. Bates, David, Londa David, Bradbury, Baker Mayfield would be my top 4 free agents. I agree, like anytime we could improve a little bit of depth there. Bradbury, I think you assume you mean James Bradbury, like the NFL corner. I'd be down for that, man. Byron Jones is most likely going to be leaving us. One of the reasons I was happy to get Vic Fangio again is because now we can start figuring out how this defense shapes up. Fangio will hopefully use his defensive connections to say, hey, we know Byron Jones is a great player, great talent. He rubbed a lot of people in Miami the wrong way, though, because he sat out. I don't think he's going to have a future here. I'm not trading you for pennies. How about you give me a 2nd or 3rd rounder, huh? And if Fangio can work that out with Greer and use their connections together to pull off a masterclass sweep like that, I'd love that. Tremaine Edmonds, Jesse Bates, Bell, Adam. I feel dumb, but I'm going to need a little bit more clarification on who Bell is. Sorry, brother. Move Connor back to left guard. No. Garrett Bradbury. Garrett Bradbury. Okay. Garrett Bradbury, I apologize. I'm not as familiar from your game, but I agree. One of the reasons why Tom Brady was an interesting choice is because he would bring his own center here. And while I think that Connor Williams did a fine job as an actual center last year, despite being his first year in the position and learning all the little nuances as it, I would not be opposed to adding a new center, having Connor Williams revert to his natural position of guard, and in one move improve one position with 2. Get a natural center, no snapping issues. I want to see how he is graded against Connor Williams, who graded pretty high, honestly. But then you would have an offensive line of Trent Armstead, Connor Williams, new center, Robert Hunt, and hopefully a new right tackle. Much better indeed, I think. So I'd agree with that. Ooh, Von Bell. Okay. I like Von Bell. Like I said, I'm down for more depth, man. If we get a little bit more safety help, Von Bell and Jesse Bates, though, a little double Cincy action. I wouldn't be opposed to that. The Bates Motel, yee, Blake McDonald. Thanks for tuning in, man. Bates Motel is a great show. Okay, like, all right. Like Psycho is a great movie, but Bates Motel, like Norman Bates, is a phenomenal character. And I always forget that guy's actor, but freaking good too. So the Bates Motel, yeah, I'd love to make a little edit of that. If we get Jesse Bates, Blake McDonald, shout out to you. If we get Jesse Bates, I'm making a Bates Motel immediate edit. Wow. McGlinchey from the Niners would be an epic for right tackle. I'm still down for him. I've gotten over that scary play of Micah Parsons going in and flipping him over with one arm. We do play the Cowboys next year, so maybe that might happen again. But Micah Parsons, if he did that to McGlinchey, he could probably do that to Austin Jackson as well and his weak self. So, yeah, I'm still down for Matt McGlinchey. Yeah, Von Bell definitely a name that interests me. Like I said, we need a third safety. So, get a real center and a right tackle, move Williams back to left guard, and boom, we've got an O-line. I know. Like, if we get a real center, then all we need to do is find a right tackle or draft one. Greer has said he wants to give Liam Eichenberg and Austin Jackson chances to win the job again. That has to be a pride point or a smoke screen, hopefully. But we will be adding some little help. DeJuan Jones, that man is going to be Mekhi Becton, but healthy. Is he that big? Oh, yeah, 6'8". Oh, fellow communications major, that's what's up. Oh, I'm a marketing major now, but DeJuan Jones, 6'8", 359 pounds. And he's an Ohio State Buckeye. Okay. I like to see that. Where's he getting projected right now? He's getting projected to go 16th overall, man. I don't know what we can get in, but if he does slip a little, I'm down. If we can get a little second round action for that, I'd love to get DeJuan Jones, man. Yeah, AJ and Eichenberg, I'm down for one of them to compete for a job. Ideally, both of them as backups, so as they continue to learn the position and grow better. But if not, yeah. Both of them backups. Hold up. 89.5 inch wingspan. He's like this. He's that big. 89.5. He's 6'8". 3 or 4 players, 6'6" plus. It brings me to one of my craziest points. People wonder why steroids aren't allowed in the NFL. When the 1972 Dolphins won the perfect season, Larry Little is the biggest player on our team, and he's about 270 pounds. I remember like in 2015, 2016, when we had like Jordan Phillips on our team, he was like 6'4", like 340 pounds. We've got guys in the NFL who are now 6'8", 356 pounds. 3 or 4 guys, 6'6" plus, just coming in like it's a routine thing. If steroids were allowed in the NFL, people would actually get murdered. Okay. Imagine giving a 6'8", 356 pound guy steroids. You'd be looking at the greatest tight end of all time. Wow. NFL just keeps getting bigger and bigger, faster and stronger. I guess it's only the nature of the game. But it's no wonder to see why. The game's getting more and more physical. Yeah, get around me, bro. Like, how can you be this freakishly big, man? Like when I was a senior in high school, Daryl Slanton, who's now a Green Bay Packers defensive tackle, he was a D tackle at UF, but he was an offensive tackle at American Heritage when I went to high school. He's 14. He was like 6'6", 315 pounds at age 14. By the time he was a junior, it was the first time I'd ever seen one left tackle block two people at the same time. He blocks the end, sees like the undersized corner trying to go for the sneak blitz, and he just murdered him with the stiff arm to the face. Granted, that's not happening in the NFL. But if you're 6'8", 356 pounds, how the frick do you get around someone? How do you have the balls, the steel, the willpower to say, you and me, man, we're ready to rock? I'm seeing second round. He's listed as 54th in the draft simulator. That's gorgeous, man. You're right. I literally just looked at the first mock draft, and I looked at the website now. I don't know what the hell the lantern.com is. No offense, because they probably are bigger than Nando Talk, but you're right. I know the mock draft simulators are a lot more accurate than random sites. That was an L on my part, my friend. Yeah, no, Russell. I need to dive into research on tomorrow's show. Was supposed to be a free agency show, but with all this draft talk, Russell, you've inspired me, man. Everyone in the chat has inspired me. Tomorrow is not free agency Friday. It's going to be, well, think of a creative pun, but we're looking at draft prospects. Fill them holes Fridays. Yeah, so we can talk about free agency and the draft. I like them. Fill them holes Fridays. Oh yeah, them innuendos. Take 51. I'm down. Let's go get him. Let's rock and roll with it. When will the Tinfoils get the script for the offseason next year to see those docs ASAP? So if you haven't seen the clip of Arian Foster, I'm going to pull that up right now. I don't know if I can pull it up without getting copyrighted because I know Macrodosing is a podcast that is on YouTube. Shout out Macrodosing. Literally one of my favorite podcasts ever. They've got a PFT commentator who does phenomenal work with Barstool, but Arian Foster is, if you don't know Arian Foster, it's wild. He's one of the best running backs in the most recent history, Texans legend. And he made a little clip about the NFL script. I thought it was hilarious. I'm not going to share it because I don't know if I can get copyrighted, but I'm going to just show the screen just in case you guys have seen the little clip. It's this little clip. I'm going to play it.
Aaron was telling me about how the NFL is rigged and how every year he used to get a script.
Yeah.
Day one of training camp that would get dropped off at his locker.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have to, it was like week 1, you'll do this. Week 2, you're going to have a hamstring injury. Week 3, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Week 4, you're going to get 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you just have to, did you memorize those before the season started? Or would you go and rehearse the script before every game?
We're really dedicated to it. So it was more so that's what practice was about. It was about practicing the script. Like, this is what goes on and this is what we have to do in order to,
And this referee is going to miss this call.
So I'm not going to play any more of that. I think it's a pretty funny clip. And at the end of it, Big T, who's a big University of Tennessee fan, at the end, he goes, oh, and how did you feel about the script in 2015, 2016 when you abandoned your faith in God and your career took a nosedive shortly after? And then Aaron Foster starts letting out a laugh. And the rest of the episode of that podcast is actually hilarious. Go check it out if you want to. It's the last Tuesday's episode, I think. But Arian Foster, hilarious, super sarcastic. NFL might be rigged, Russell, but that clip was super facetious, super sarcastic. And if you don't know a little bit more about Arian Foster's background, he has consistently said that he hates practicing. He hated having to go through walk. He thinks that the NFL should eliminate practice, that it should just be walkthroughs. And if you know how to play football, you know how to play football. It comes naturally to you. So when they talked about the script stuff, it was to him like, you think I want to do more practice? You think I want to be an actor or thespian? Like, no. And it's just a hilarious hour episode that day. Definitely check it out if you got a chance. Shout out Macrodosing, an awesome podcast. The entire crew there honestly does epic work. But yeah, no, the NFL doesn't have a script, guys. It's if it did, it would be the greatest writers of all time. why would you waste this on the NFL? You could be making the greatest movies ever told if you had this great of script writers. But, oh well. Fun time indeed. Jack Campbell, 100%. Yeah. Or Owen Papo. Jack Campbell, great middle linebacker, man. I love that hard, physical guy. I think he's from Iowa, right? I'm bringing that off the top of my head. 90% sure. Oh, that's a hockey player. Yeah, Iowa. Go little Hawkeyes, you know. But yeah, it's gonna be it'll be interesting, man. It's gonna be an interesting draft indeed. How are we feeling though, guys? You know, I do think that one of the reasons why I want to get a backup quarterback is, like I said, you go for agency, backup quarterback, stick with Tua, get a competent backup, whether it's pay the money for Jimmy G, go for the cost efficient but upside guys like Baker Mayfield, Taylor Heineke, Gardner Minshew, and fill in these holes. Okay, have all the capital to draft guys like Jack Campbell. You know, maybe get stud running backs like Zach Evans, who after transferring found himself a little bit of career resurgence in Ole Miss. At one point was one of the top running back prospects in the draft before Bijan Robinson. Zach Evans, great runner. All these little holes that we can address in free agency in the draft won't be there. We won't have that option if we trade the farm for Lamar Jackson for Aaron Rodgers. Am I down to go for a Derek Carr for cheap? Sure, but is that truly an upgrade for Tua Tagovailoa? Probably not. Yeah, he's from Iowa. I still have his stats up here. So he is 6'5", actually, and like 246, man. So that is the true definition of an old school, true linebacker, well balanced, does everything you need to do, and has the size to boot, to back it up, and to bring the thunder when needed, man. I agreed. It's not the most tantalizing draft. I think it's got a bunch of stars, man. Not the deepest draft, you know. Granted, I know this draft very surface level, mainly through the lens of I play a lot of dynasty fantasy football, so I've been keeping track of this class for a bit, but it's not you're right, it's not the greatest class. It does have some nice players out there that you can snipe, but I've got to do more homework on it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well balanced, good technique, good skills, but the athleticism is what lacks a little. And at 6'5", 250 pounds, you could see that being a bit of the case. But I want that physical presence, especially if we have Vic Fangio here. What Fangio succeeds at is taking away passes over the top, allowing a lot of stuff underneath, a situation where a good middle linebacker with sure sound tackling can close those holes, lay people out, and it cause a lot of mess, man. Oh. Forgot about the stuff, and that got a tad warm. Yakala. So how are we feeling, guys? How are we feeling? I've wanted to avoid this quarterback talk for a while. Well, we did talk about running back, linebacker, offensive line for a good half hour. But for a good hour and 20 minutes, we talked quarterback. And no matter what the Dolphins do, except for, okay, I'll preface the statement by saying, unless the Dolphins roll out with just Tua and just Skyler, I'm okay with whatever quarterback move we make. Whether we go to free agency and we bring in the most expensive backup in Jimmy G, or we go for the Moxie and Baker Mayfield, Heineke, or hopefully Minshew, the mustachioed mullet man himself, or we swing a little bigger for a guy like Derek Carr, or we swing massively for options like Lamar Jackson and then pay him big money, all this guaranteed money for a quarterback who has injury concerns of his own, or we trade for an aging wonder like Aaron Rodgers, potentially give up a lot of future assets, all in for a Super Bowl run. But regardless of what the Dolphins do, regardless of what they see, I do believe that the Miami Dolphins are loading up and gearing up for this Super Bowl run. We have seen the Dolphins make massive strides, and while the record stayed the same, it's the first time we had a top 10 offense since 1995. And that's with the revolving door at quarterback. Entering this year, who knows how efficient this offense can look as we improve the offensive line, which should help out the running game. And maybe we might even bring in some new life at running back or continue running the successful Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Wombo combo. Maybe Tua stays healthy all year. And if he doesn't, maybe we've got a much better plan at backup, a better quarterback than Skylar and Teddy combined. And we win some games when our quarterback goes down instead of just the one Jets game. Our offense that was already top 10, I could see it firmly cementing itself as a consistent top 10 unit in all categories. A running game that went from to what I think it was 27th last year or 30th. I think it's like 22nd and 25th. I could continue seeing it improve. Maybe hopefully join the top 10 as well if we get some new running back help. Ooh, Dan Rocheur from the Saints already interviewed for the offensive line coach. I love that. They've had Ryan Ramczyk at times. They've had Andrews Pete. They've had some good Teron Armstead. Hello. They've had some good offensive linemen in the past from the Saints. I'd like that. I'd be down for that. Matt Applebaum. And I think that's the whole point of making with the offense. Yes, Matt Applebaum got fired. We are bringing the offensive line coordinator. I trust Mike McDaniel. I trust the vision, the ideas he's making, the connections and the experience and the genius he has on offense. Was it an interesting season for him as his first year as head coach? Of course. Did he have ups and downs? Yes. Did he have some growing pains? Unfortunately, yeah. Do I hope he gets better at challenging plays? Yes, please. But Mike McDaniel should be growing. And I still trust him to flesh out this offensive staff, to create his guys, his room, his vision that'll help him succeed, man. Mr. Fangio, bringing him in is another Mike McDaniel great move, another thing that Greer has done successfully as well. And once Fangio officially signs, we'll continue to match up a defensive staff that can match up with our incredibly talented offensive staff. We'll see an offense that was top 10 finally get paired up with a defense that is top 10 as well. The defense is currently in the 20s, depending on which category you look at, but for the most part, the 20s all around. I need to see a massive step up, at least 10 spots from this defense to give the offense a consistent companion. They know they're not alone, that each unit can rely on the other to consistently hold fast, score points, and win freaking games. We've got the staff. We're building it. We're implementing it. It's time to figure out how this quarterback room shakes out. I think we end up with 3 for agency. Only backup quarterbacks. Trading for Lamar or Rodgers is a bit risky. Rodgers with the age concern, Lamar with injury concerns, both at the big money. But regardless of what the Dolphins do, I think we are a couple of right pieces away from getting a Super Bowl. From 2024 being there in that Super Bowl, no more pipe dreams, no more loud talk. The AFC East, the AFC is getting more competitive, but at the same time, there is a little bit of wiggle room. There is still hope for this team. Like I said, top 10 offense, top 10 defense, playing 4 quarters of football, offense, defense, special team, all playing hardcore, all playing strong and sound. And how can you not be excited for the future of the Miami Dolphins team? Like I said, I'm putting my money where I'm out this. I already upgraded my season tickets, section 138, bada bing, bada bam. These will be the seats. These will be the view. I have 2 tickets on my account, 4 on my buddies' accounts. And then I've got 4 other buddies in the same section. So a total of 10 of us, shout out Zach, Nathan, the other Nathan, Alan, Drew, Tommy, Mr. George, Big Cuban, a whole great group of buds. I'm going to try to raffle one of the tickets off, at least in the preseason, maybe during the regular season. Get some Dolphins fans to come with me, man. I think it's a beautiful section, beautiful seats to be enjoying from. Zach let me sit the last year. It's one of the reasons why I pushed the guys to upgrade to here. We were in 348 last year. I'll be here this year, hopefully, having a fun time, rooting through the Dolphins throughout everything, no matter what. So if I move down there, section 138 is calling my name then for seasons. If not, then the game too. I got 138. It is. I've never been to a home game. Russell, Adam, I implore you to come to a game. Adam actually got the chance to tailgate with me last year. It was freaking sick, brother. We got to go there for the Christmas game. You know, you sat in the wait, was that Christmas or was that the Jets game? No, it was the Jets game. I apologize. You came for the Jets game. That was fun as hell, man. You sat in the Sky Tops section and it worked. 138 though, a fun vibe indeed. Definitely come through, boss man Adam again. And Russell, and to anyone who has not gone to a Dolphins home game, I implore you, I'd love to do so. When I do a raffle, obviously when I had the cheaper tickets, it would have been easier to buy a ticket off my buddies. But I've got to talk to my friends, figure out how we do it with this section. I would love to help Dolphins fans go to games. Even if I just end up getting like a section 300 and just saying, hey, tailgate with me, game time. You might just be with other Dolphins fans, but whatever it may be, I want to get Dolphins fans who have been to a home game to get there to go there for the first time. Obviously, will I ask for a little bit of subscriptions, a little bit of help here and there? Sure. For the most part, it's just because it's going to be a fun season, man. We have 9 home games, very easy home schedule. Cowboys or the Giants are the hardest teams we face. I think it'd be a fun time and need to come through. You live in Ohio. I understand. Ooh, Dolphins, Bengals. I was at the Detroit game. That's awesome. I've never been to an away game, so I definitely want to travel. Eagles, Chiefs, or Chargers are my top destinations this year for teams I want to go to on the road. We'll see how that shakes out. Most likely the Eagles. Pipe, if you're watching this, we're going to go visit Mr. Harrison. That's going to be sick. But 100%, man. As long as you've been at Dolphins games, that's awesome. Row 19, seat 19, Skyler, time. Hey, it worked. We made it to the playoffs, and I will give 1,000% credit to you, boss man, Adam. 100% legend. But that's how I kind of wanted to wrap it up, man. If anyone wants to ever sit next to me, I'll be in section 138. I'd love to see you all next season. Grab it. First beer's on me, but we can just share one. Adam actually beat me to it. You got me a beer at the stadium, but for everyone else, Adam, I still owe you another one back. But for everyone, come through to a Dolphins game. It's going to be an epic season. No matter what we do at quarterback. Well, if we do the right things at quarterback, we do the right things in the offseason, we should be looking at a phenomenal season. Hopefully some Super Bowl magic. And that's what I'm seeing, man. Hey, 10 years ago, I said that on the 50th anniversary of the Dolphins' perfect season, we'd win a Super Bowl with undefeated as well in their honor. This upcoming season is still the 50-year anniversary of a Dolphins Super Bowl. Maybe it won't be perfect. I'll be damned if we're not winning the Super Bowl, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Nando Talk. It has been an awesome Tinfoil Hat Thursday. I apologize. We signed Vic Fangio. We're poised to make some more coaching moves. Well, Fangio has reportedly, officially signed with us. Schefter confirmed it that after the Super Bowl, he should be coming here. We'll be ready to bring in some more assistants. We'll be looking at free agency and draft tomorrow for Fill Them Holes Friday. Changing the name from Free Agency Friday. If you liked what you saw today, every Thursday, Tinfoil Hat Thursday from 2 to at least 3. Always a fun time indeed. Check it out at Twitter and YouTube. Subscribe for more positive vibes. Fins up, chins up. Always, Tinfoil Hat, like I said, is one of my favorite segments. And this one has been an awesome one indeed. So thank you all for tuning in. It has been absolutely epic. When I see Tua play live in Detroit, he ended out. I see it now. It's just about durability. Agree, Russell. It's a durability question. And hopefully we'll be able to prepare for that eventuality. True, I did get you 4 or 5 before the game. It's not the same as in the stadium, though. So I'll owe you a stadium beer, but it was an awesome Basasaur. You'll be on Larry's channel, Finn's Fan Panel, on Saturday at 3:30 p.m. for a special You're the GM video. Ooh, I like that. I'll definitely be checking that on Saturday, guys. Hey, check out Boss Man Larry if you can. Finn's Fan Panel on Saturday, 3 p.m. Always a fun time chopping it up with more Dolphins fans, guys. But I'm Russell. I'm going to be checking it out. I'll be there, man. You were here for me. I'll definitely give it a whirl on Saturday, man. It's going to be a fun time. But thank you all for tuning in. This has been a Tinfoil Hat Thursday. Like I said, every Thursday, 2 to at least 3 p.m., maybe longer. We'll be going on, giving some good thoughts, some good theories, going down the rabbit hole about what the Dolphins are going to be looking at. If you also like some more stuff, last Friday we had Free Agency Friday. This Friday we'll have fill them holes Friday, talking about how we can fill the holes of the Dolphins in draft day and on free agency, maybe some trades as well. And then, of course, I'll be trying to stream Monday to Friday at least 4 times a week, hopefully all 5 of those days. Tinfoil Hat Thursday is an always must stay, though. And as for the rest of the days, stay tuned. Finalizing the schedule with class and with work. But it's a fun time in this off season. I thank you guys for supporting the channel. Like Adam said in the very beginning of the show, we are so close to 800. I think we're at 744 subscribers right now before recording. If we can get to 750, then to 800, then to 1,000. My 1 year is actually April 4th, the day after my birthday on April 3rd. So that'd be awesomely appreciated before I turn 25. But as long as I get support here and there, get some good Dolphins fans to ask questions, to chop it up with, that's all I care about. So thank you all for tuning in. Fins up. Thank you, Russell, for asking good questions. Adam E., Adam Sadowski, G, Carlos, Freddie, everyone. Thank you for Blake. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Hooked Up Joe, some new faces, some old faces, Dolphin, JK. I'm going up through the chat, seeing if I missed anyone. Canes Dolphins 89. You're all, JM Santos, you're all very well appreciated on the channel. I am awesome. It's here. April 8th. One of my best friends is April 7th, and the other one's April 9th. So April 8th, April babies. We're all absolute legends, Adam. The connection is real. The connection between all Dolphins, guys. Perk up, fins up, chins up. We have a beautiful season lined up ahead of us. Free agency opens March 15th. The draft is the end of April. And I'm absolutely pumped for it all. Now that we've got our coaching staff almost figured out, guys. So enjoy this weekend. Enjoy the Pro Bowl. Enjoy NHL All-Star Game. I will see you tomorrow for Fill Them Holes Friday. This has been a little Tinfoil Hat Thursday, here on Nando Talk. And I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know. There we go. April 8th, a great day then. So thank you all for tuning in. If you all enjoyed, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. And as always, I'll throw out all the intros I've made in the comments if you let me know which one you guys prefer the best. Still figuring that out. So thank you. Fins up, chins up. See you tomorrow. Longest outros in the game. Bang.